it looks phenomenal. It really does, and it is mesmerising, the quality of the 4K.
Now everyone, it's time to spread a bit of movie cheer.
Welcome to the Movie Cheer Podcast, the show for movie fans. I am your host AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and on today's episode I am going to be discussing my recent movie double bill weekend of watching the Avengers movies on 4K. Those movies are Infinity War and Endgame. So this was a recent thing for me. I recently picked them up and I thought, let's do a double bill weekend back to back and then share my experience, talk about the 4K specifically as well, the movies, how I felt. And so that's going to be today's headline topic. So let's get to it.
The Movie Cheer Podcast presents the headline topic for the episode.
Remember to spread a bit of
headline topic. Headline topic.
Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer.
So today's headline topic, the double weekender of the Avengers, the two Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame on 4K, watching them for the first time on 4K. I want to talk about the transfers, the specs, the overall experience of watching them, and let's deep dive into it. Let's get to it, folks. So first of all, I'm going to start off with the release. Talking about the transfer spec first of all. So first of all, both of these HDR10 on both. They both include Dolby Atmos on both of them, and they are upscaled to 4K. So they're not native 4K. These two, they are upscaled to 4K. They don't have Dolby Vision, so I imagine, because these are a couple of years old now, I imagine we'll probably get re-releases in the future that potentially have Dolby Vision included on them. But that's the spec of these. Now let's talk about some of the features. So what I will say is the features on both of these are phenomenal. In regards to what's included, it's great. So I'm going to start with Infinity War, the content on the discs. So you've got obviously the 4K and the Blu-ray included. The Blu-ray's got all the bonus material included. So you've got here play movie with intro by directors Joe and Anthony Russo, featurettes, deleted scenes, gag reels, and audio commentary. If you're into your audio commentaries, there you go. I got this one though, Endgame, and I was like, I couldn't believe it, 3 discs. So you get the 4K, the Blu-ray, plus a bonus disc as well. Included on the Blu-ray and bonus, you've got Remembering Stan Lee, Setting the Tone, casting Robert Downey Jr., A Man Out of Time, creating Captain America, Black Widow, Whatever It Takes, the Russo Brothers' Journey to Endgame, The Women of the MCU, Bro 4, gag reel, deleted scenes, audio commentary by directors and writers, and play movie with the intro by the directors. Now, first of all, I think some of the deleted scenes, because I remember seeing on like YouTube and stuff where it was there was scenes with Tony Stark and his daughter, but as a grown-up. So there was a lot of obviously that material. So I've not got into them yet. I kind of need to be in the mood to watch bonus material. For me, I need to get in that sort of zone. So I generally won't watch it when I've watched the movie. I think the last time I did that maybe is Tombstone, because I think it was on the same disc, and I thought, let's check out some of the interviews. But generally speaking, I need to be in the mood, and sometimes I'll just go out my way to just grab a movie, grab a disc, and be like, I want to watch the bonus material on this, because it's so. I think it's really cool as. First of all, someone who loves film and someone who I've dabbled in bits of filmmaking on YouTube and little short film. Nothing like super fancy, but little short films and stuff here and there. So it interests me, the art of filmmaking and seeing stuff being made. I always remember like the Dark Knight ones where you see like the miniatures and stuff like that, and obviously stuff like Lord of the Rings is the documentaries, the bonus material and DVDs are are amazing. If you never watched them, check them out. But these are both filled with a lot of content, which is really cool, and I'm looking forward to checking a lot of it out and just seeing. It's good to see it behind the camera how they're making these sort of movies and the stuff that doesn't get into the main film, to see what they left out, because obviously you think how much material they must actually film for these type of movies, and then the majority of it, they probably film hours upon hours of material, and you can only make it so much to make it a watchable movie for audiences. So it's good to see. So lots of features on I will say as well, the artwork on these discs, both of these, I like both. I think they're very not nothing super special, but I think Infinity War pops out a bit more with the colours, with the oranges and the yellows. I quite like those. That's really cool. But let's talk about what did I think of the 4K experience first of all. So my previous experience of watching these movies have been in the cinema, not at IMAX, just watched them in standard cinema and watched them on TV, HD, nothing, never watched 4K before these. So my viewing setup, if you're new to the channel, to the pod, I have an OLED 4K LG TV. It's not a super big one, it's only 42 inch, so I imagine on bigger screens, that's where you get the benefits of 4K even more so. But it does me, and it's a small room, so it feels much bigger. So watching them on 4K for the first time, I was really, really impressed. I think overall, I've only got a small 4K collection. I've not got a massive 4K collection of movies, and I've only watched, the amount of 4Ks I've watched in the short period I've started collecting it, maybe the last 6 or 7 months. I've not watched tons of 4Ks, but I will say these two, from start to finish, they look really solid, and the clarity, the sharpness of them, it looks great. It looks fantastic. When you see the shots of Thanos, when you see the special effects, all the fight scenes, the big action scenes, the big, the scenes where you've got like hundreds of different Avengers on screen, it looks phenomenal. It really does, and it is mesmerising, the quality of the 4K. I do want to get into the sound a bit more later on in this episode and talk about the sound of things, but yeah. Visually stunning, absolutely stunning, and if you've never experienced the 4K, I highly recommend it. They look great. One of the ones I was most impressed with recently was Roadhouse on 4K from Arrow Video, and that was one of my top choices, one of my favourites I've watched so far on 4K for clarity, but these are definitely on par, if not, it obviously is a different type of movie as well, different type of visuals. There's not a lot of scenes in this are very dark. There's a lot of scenes in space, in dark rooms, but I still feel visually it just pops, on screen. I think sometimes when it's in lighter daylight scenes, it pops a lot more 4K and OLED, but these really pop in these scenes even when it's darker settings and really not really super colourful environments. They really do stand out still with the clarity. So I really do. I would really recommend the 4K experience on these two. Let's get into the plot briefly. I'm gonna, I won't go too deep into spoilers, but the premise of these movies is Thanos is trying to collect the Infinity Stones for his gauntlet to try and wipe out 50% of the human of all existence of life in the universe. That's what he sets out to do, and the Avengers must stop him. I think it's again a great coming together of these Avengers movies. I think the Avengers movies tend to always nail the coming together of multiple characters, and this one is no different, and there's plenty of characters in this. This is obviously the most characters they fit into it, but they really gel all the stories really well. I love the interactions of the characters, and I love the stuff with the interactions early on in, I always forget which one it is now. It would be Infinity War with Doctor Strange and Robert Downey Jr. and Hulk. And I think that their interactions are very funny and very humorous. And when you got Peter Parker meeting Doctor Strange for the first time and the Guardians, it's very comical, it's fun, it's light-hearted. And I think that balances out with the very dramatic scenes in this story with Endgame. Because, it finishes on that massive cliffhanger of Infinity War, and then they got to find that resolution in Endgame. And I love the time travel elements. And I mean, some people may be sick of sort of time traveling movies, think it's an easy trope to do. I think they kind of like make humour of it with the Back to the Future references, and I think they know it's humorous, but I think they actually do it really well. And they add a lot of emotion with the links to characters they see going back into the past. So I really appreciate that, and I think it's really well done for this particular movie. So plot-wise, I think the finish of it is great. It's very emotional with the scenes with Captain America at the end, with his kind of like sign-off, and with Iron Man. I'm not like a super emotional guy, but certain movies always get it for me, where I get really tear up a bit. If I'm being honest, I get a bit not crying per se, but I just get a bit emotional. And definitely the scenes with Iron Man at the end of Endgame, they are emotional. They are if you say otherwise, you're a liar, or you have zero emotion. You're completely stoic. But yeah, it's great. It's a great movie, a great double bill of movies. 2 in a row. Really enjoyable. So let's talk about the double bill experience. So watching them first time back to back, I don't think I've ever watched them back to back in so close of a time period before. So it's what I want to do. I think of it like doing Back to the Future's, the trilogy. You've got to watch them all back to back. I always feel like Back to the Future, I think certain movie series you can watch one of or two of. I feel like Harry Potter, I don't really have to watch every single one every time. I can pick and select some, kind of a bit like that with Lord of the Rings sometimes. But the double bill experience of this was phenomenal, and I think it really enhances the movie a lot more. Both of these films, watching them back to back, seeing that, because you're craving for that resolution after the first movie. You want to know how do they fix things, and it really adds to it. I think it adds. I was excited to watch Endgame the day after. I watched it on, Saturday, Infinity War, Sunday, watched Endgame, and I was excited to see it. And there was a lot of parts of it that I forgot as well. So I knew that overall what was going to happen, but there was a lot of subplots and things that I didn't really remember that well. So it was good to go into it with kind of like, not fresh eyes, but like maybe eyes that have just totally forgot what was going on. So I really enjoyed it, and I really highly recommend the double bill experience. I think it is well worth doing if you've never done it before. Now, finally, I want to get into one thing I want to run back to is the sound. So obviously, it's a Dolby Atmos soundtrack here. I don't have a Dolby Atmos setup, and it's something I would like to do in the future. I just don't have the space for it at this moment in time. I don't have a soundbar as well, so I'm also relying on the TV's sound, which is not awful. It's not awful. I mentioned this before, but I do feel this is a movie which would have been even more enhanced if I had some sort of soundbar or some sort of better improved audio setup. Because it didn't ruin the movie for me. Didn't ruin the experience, but I feel like it would have just lifted it a bit more. And it would have just highlighted some of them epic scenes when the spaceships are coming down, when you're seeing these big battle sequences, to hear the big bangs, the big fight scenes. It really would have enhanced it for this movie, and that is one thing I would really recommend. If you want to watch these movies, maybe get hold of some sort of soundbar or something if you haven't already, because I think it really would. And that's something I was watching these and I was thinking, that was one of the main things I was like, yes, this would be so much better with a little small soundbar would just give it that bit of a boost. And I think it was just like lacking that. It was kind of like Spinal Tap. It's like, it just needs to turn it up to 11. And turning it to 11 would be a soundbar or some sort of speaker system. But yeah, that is the only sort of caveat for this. But overall, the experience was awesome. Highly recommend doing a double bill of these two movies back to back. Very enjoyable. As a fan of these Marvel movies, it makes me more excited as well for what they're doing with future Avengers movies now. I think the talk of the Avengers movies, filming the Doomsday recently has really got me excited and thought as well. Like I said, I had these actually in my movie list on Amazon for quite a while. Got them cheap. on Music Magpie. Really happy about that. About 12 quid for both of them. I was very happy with getting them on 4K, and I encourage anyone who's on the fence about getting these on 4K to get off that fence, because they are amazing. They look great. Like I said, if you add a soundbar in there, they're going to sound even better. But the sound of the TV is good as it is, you know. But yeah, great experience. Love these movies. They still hold up. They've not. I don't think they're movies that have, you know, after not watching them for a few years, you don't have to watch all the other movies as well. You can experience them as just two individual movies. I think they're very enjoyable. I think it brings you into the story straight away. And yeah, and the 4Ks look, you know, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, 10 out of 10 for me. They look great. Absolutely visually stunning. So that's today's headline topic for this episode. Let's move on with the rest of the show.
Case covers take on other case covers. Can you handle that?
Case. Cover. Collision. Case. Cover. Collision.
Case cover collision. Each and every episode, I look at one movie and look at different case covers for that movie and put them up against each other to find out which one is the best and which one is the winner of case cover collision for the episode. So, as we are talking about Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame, I thought I'd go for one of these. So I thought, let's go for Infinity War. So I've got 3 case covers to discuss. I'm going to put them up against each other and give you my thoughts on which one I think personally is the best case cover. So I've got the standard cover, which I've shown previously, which I have here, the 4K. I've got the standard steelbook of the Infinity War as well, and we've got a Zavvi exclusive lenticular cover steelbook as well. So let's get to it. Let's start off with the standard 4K cover. Like I said before, I think this one pops more than Endgame as well. This one, just purely for the logo. So let's talk about the main cover features the majority of the main cast. You've got Thanos, your main villain, Iron Man, Captain America, for all the main Avengers. There must be at least 15 to 20 characters on this cover, and they're all kind of like, you've got Thanos at the top, and then you've got one Doctor Strange's rings behind him. So it's like this orange glow, and then you've got all the rest of the characters beneath him. Sort of like, it's like showing his power. Like he's at the top, he's the most powerful, and all the Avengers are below him. That's kind of what this cover is saying to me. And then you've got like kind of a space background in the distance. At the top of it, you've got the Avengers Infinity War logo above Thanos' head, in this orange and sort of yellow gradient. And again, I think that really does pop here, because it's against the background of that dark space background, and then beneath that you've got them oranges and then pinks sort of like highlighting sort of like them little fleurs around the main Avengers characters. So I really like this. I think it really is, it's nothing, it's not anything amazingly different than you get from a average sort of poster for these sort of type of movies, but I think it works. I think it's good that they featured all the characters here, all the main characters, so you kind of know what you're getting. You're getting this big team up movie of all these superhero characters, which is really cool. So I really do like this cover. I think it's a decent cover. Let's get to the next one first. So now we have the standard steelbook. This one is very different from the first one, and it is completely different in a sense. It's just there's only one character on it. You've got Thanos in the sort of like, so it's a space background. You can see Earth from in space, and it's taken up the majority of the cover, and you got a bit of the corner features a bit of like this space background. You've got Thanos' head in sort of like this like dark silhouette across his face. So we kind of just only see it's like a shadow across his face, and he's looking kind of like in the distance in the top right hand corner, and then you've got the gauntlet, the big gold gauntlet with all the Infinity Stones on it. Underneath that, I think on the J card, you've got the Avengers logo again, the same one with the orange and yellow. Really pops again, that logo. But it's very, the focus of this is on the Infinity Gauntlet, which is obviously the massive, plot element here. So a huge part of this movie, a huge part of the story. And I think it looks great. I really do like this. I think for a steelbook, it looks fantastic. Even though it's very minimalist, I think for this movie, because it's such a pivotal part of this movie and obviously the MCU saga, it works for me. I will just say, Infinity Gauntlet, I initially thought these movies were going to be actually like a tournament, because I thought Gauntlet, I didn't think it was actual physical gauntlet. I thought it was like a joint when you talk about wrestling gauntlets, where it's like, this wrestler goes on to fight the other wrestler. I thought it was going to be a tournament movie. That's what I initially thought when I heard of the Infinity Saga. The Infinity Gauntlet. That's what I thought it was. I was wrong. I really like this. I think it really does work for that. Simple, but it works. Now we go to the Zavvi exclusive lenticular cover. Again, this features a lot of the characters, but this one's very different, where it's a black backdrop. The Avengers Infinity War logo is at the bottom. Same style, same colours again. A bit small this time. But then they kind of use a mix of colours here. This reminds me a bit of like a Star Wars movie poster, if I'm being honest, this one. But you've got all the different characters, but you've got them featuring within different colours. So it starts off with like the Guardians and like Black Panther, and then there's like green. It's like a green sort of background to them, and then it mixes into blue in the middle part, and then it goes into your yellows and your oranges and reds. So a real mix of colours here. But I imagine this with the lenticular cover absolutely looks amazing. I bet it looks fantastic. Obviously, it doesn't really do it justice just seeing a still image of it, but it gives you that sort of like the effects on the characters are very like Star Wars, like they've been painted. It really is nice looking at this, and I can really appreciate this. The use of colours, the lens flare they've used in it, the effects of that, I think is really good. So which one is going to be my winner for this edition of Case Cover Collision? I think, you know what, I was going to go for one particular one, but I've kind of been sort of last minute being thrown a curveball, and I'm going to go with the Zavvi exclusive lenticular steelbook. I was initially going to go for that other steelbook, but this one really, for me, I think seeing all the different characters on there really does make it for me, and I think it gives me that visual of like a Star Wars sort of art, which I like. I think it looks really well done, and I can imagine it even just adds to it even more, being a lenticular cover. Obviously, lenticular, you move it and then you see it moves the image. So I think that one it probably looks amazing in hand. So for me, the Zavvi exclusive lenticular steelbook is the winner of this episode edition of Case Cover Collision. It's a good one. Now let's move on to the next segment of today's show.
What's been on the screen? The screen. What's been on the screen?
What's been on the screen? What have I been watching recently, folks? So I'm going to get to it. First of all, Cobra Kai. I watched it. I binged this show like crazy. I really did binge this show. This is one I've tried dipping my toe into a few times over the years, if I'm being honest. I watched it when, I think it come out initially, didn't it come out on like YouTube? I'm sure it came out on YouTube and they released a few episodes and then it transitioned over to Netflix. If I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. But I watched the first episode a few times and then just never got round to watching the rest of it. And I think for me, it's pure. I've kind of been on a bit of a kick of going back to TV shows. I used to love TV shows, but I kind of just like, I like a one and done thing. I do prefer movies, and for years I've not really got into TV shows as much. I've tried with that new Game of Thrones one, House of the Dragon, but not a knock on it. It's just having the time. And big one for me is I like a show when I know it is it's got the start and the finish, and I don't have to wait around for. It's, for example, Stranger Things now. I really enjoy that show, but the wait, I can't stand the wait of waiting for the new season. I just want to binge it. So I knew Cobra Kai was finished. It finished like last year, I believe. So I could watch it from the beginning to the end and just binge it. And I kind of just got I had a few days. I think I had like a weekend or so. I just started watching it, and I just got into it. I was like pounding the episodes out, just going episode after episode, and I had an absolute hell of a time watching it. It was awesome. I like the Karate Kid movies, and I will get to how I feel about them with the ending of this. But I think it's a great show. With Johnny Lawrence, his character from the first Karate Kid movie, seeing how he is today, seeing how Daniel LaRusso is today, and see how they interact as adults. And the story's great, and seeing him rebuilding, Johnny Lawrence rebuilding Cobra Kai, and then you got Daniel doing Miyagi-Do and going up against each other in tournaments. The rivalry continuing, and then you're seeing the additions of the villains from the original movies, the likes of Terry Silver, Kreese coming in there, John Kreese. It was great. It was really, really well done. And I think overall it enhances the movies. And I've not went back now to watching all their movies, and I do intend to do that. But I've always enjoyed Karate Kid movies. I wouldn't say I was like a massive fan in the sense that like I'd watch them all the time as a kid. For me, it was like if it was like movies in that sort of vein, it would be Rocky. But Karate Kid movies I would watch as a kid, but these now I feel like it's enhanced it for me even more so watching them movies, and it makes me want to watch them more so now. I think the ending, it's always hard to do an ending to a TV show, to land at the ending and do it on a good landing. This did it really well, I think. I think with the whole tournament thing was really well done. I think it really juggles as well the young and old cast, the older cast members in the sense of the cast members from the original Karate Kid movies, and then you've got all the younger generation of Karate Kid stars, the kids who are learning in Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do, and I think it really has a mix. So I think that works for the audience really well, because you've got that young and old storylines mixed in together, and I think it works both work really well. I like both sets of characters, the ones from the original Karate Kid movies and also the new characters they brought in for Cobra Kai. I think they really were well written characters, and I think that every character I felt like they give a lot of depth to all of the characters, like Miguel, showing his family, his background, and seeing his story, and with Johnny's son as well. They really give, like, the female Tori. These are characters that Tori had no connections to the original movies, but they really gave her a lot of depth as a character and a lot of emotional attachment to them characters. I felt like, anyway. So I thought it was great. I thought the ending was really well done, and I really enjoyed it. I think it was just superb series. I liked it. I like that Johnny Lawrence got his happy ending as well. I thought it was nice to see. It's good to see a happy ending for a character, especially a character who kind of like looked at as a bad guy in the original movie. So it was quite good. And I thought Kreese as well. I was speaking to Scott, the movie critic, about this, and like Kreese is just, his character was great. I think it really developed his character and really gave him a load of depth, gave him a load of backstory, which really just made his character more likable, even though he was still a bad guy. So it was really well done. Great show. And now I'm going to get to a movie I watched. First time watching this one, Happy Gilmore, starring Adam Sandler. Never watched it growing up, and this is a movie I've been, wanting to see for a while, just never got around to it. And I watched it. I went to watch it this time because of the new movie coming out. I thought, let's give it a go. With the sequel coming out soon on Netflix, I think it comes out this month. I think the end of the month maybe. So I only heard about the new movie because it's got a couple of wrestlers in there. You've got MJF and Becky Lynch, who are both wrestlers for AEW and WWE. So I heard about it through them featuring it, through like news articles. I enjoyed it. It's kind of like got that flavour of like a Waterboy, a Kingpin. I didn't realise it was all about golf, but it was very funny. There's tons of funny scenes in there, but the funny scenes that stood out to me the most, was because I could relate to them more, were the scenes when he's He's absolutely so he's a Happy Gilmore. He's great at driving a golf ball. He's just got like, this incredible swing, and he gets like thrown into the pro tour series. But he's absolutely dire at putting it. So it's when it's putting it when it's his short game. So when you have to just put it to get it in the ball in the hole, he's awful. And it reminded me because I've done pitch and putt a few times in the past, and I've got an alright drive, and then I get to like when it's pitching, it's like crazy golf. I'm absolutely awful, and he reminded me that he's hitting it, and all the audience are going like ooh, and he's missing it, and it's so funny because he's getting all stressed out, he's got all wound up. It's really fun. I liked it, and I'm looking for. I like Adam Sandler's movies. One of the standouts is Waterboy and Wedding Singer for me are my standouts. But yeah, this is a fun one. I would definitely go back to this now. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a funny comedy, and I really did appreciate this movie. So I'm looking forward to watching Happy Gilmore 2. Whether it's as good as the original, who's to know? But let's give it a shot. But that's it for another episode. That's what I've been watching this week, and thank you for joining me for this episode, folks. Let me know your thoughts. The double bill of the Avengers on 4K. Have you done this before? Is it something you're thinking about doing? Maybe you've done it on DVD or Blu-ray even as well, or just watched it, streamed it. Let me know your thoughts on just the double bill experience, or if you watched them on 4K. Be good to hear your thoughts, and let me know your thoughts on all of the other topics on today's episode as well. Thank you very much for watching and listening along to this episode, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer, and as always, I will see you next time.